There's a molecule priced under $1 per gram that penetrates sebum more precisely than most luxury actives. Two products contain the identical amount. The price gap is $130. One costs $35, the other $165. Same molecule, same labeled concentration, radically different engineering philosophies. Does the chemistry actually justify that gap, or is it a prestige tax? Paula's Choice Skin Perfecting 2% BHA Liquid Exfoliant. 8 ingredients, 0 alcohol. A glycol vehicle built for surgical pH precision with 0 inflammatory collateral. Against 26 ingredients, this architecture looks like the dominant engineering choice. ZO Skin Health Complexion Renewal Pads. 26 ingredients. Denatured alcohol in second position. Dual acids, urea, 7 botanical extracts, and a textured viscose pad. This formula contains a fire brigade because it starts a fire. 8 ingredients versus 26. Alcohol-free versus alcohol-forward. Paula's Choice Skin Perfecting 2% BHA Liquid Exfoliant looks dominant at first inspection. Molecular science, however, rarely rewards the obvious conclusion. The verdict requires going deeper. To judge these formulas, understand their shared target first. The pilosebaceous follicle, sebum-filled, lipid-rich, inaccessible to hydrophilic molecules. Only a lipid-soluble active can enter that environment and dismantle the comedone at its base. Salicylic acid, the BHA in both products, is structurally designed for that follicular target. Its benzene ring makes it uniquely lipophilic among exfoliating acids. It enters sebum, where glycolic acid structurally cannot reach. The 2% figure on both labels is a chemical fiction. It represents total acid concentration, not bioavailable acid. The active fraction, the only part crossing the lipid barrier, depends on a variable no label discloses. That variable is pH. The governing tool? Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. Salicylic acid carries a pKa of 2.97. That physical constant determines the true active payload of each formula, not the label, not the price. One question stays open before running the numbers. ZO Skin Health Complexion Renewal Pads ships with a textured viscose pad. Marketing device or genuine biomechanical weapon chemistry alone cannot replicate? File that question. It returns. Henderson-Hasselbalch states pH equals pKa plus the logarithm of the ionized to free acid ratio. Paula's Choice Skin Perfecting 2% BHA Liquid Exfoliant operates at pH 3.2. Salicylic acid pKa 2.97. Real active fraction calculation begins. At pH 3.2 with pKa 2.97, the ionized to free acid ratio is approximately 1.7. About 37% of total salicylic acid exists as non-ionized free acid, the only molecular form that crosses the stratum corneum lipid barrier. 37% of 2%. 0.74% free acid measured within the formula, not in living skin. Paula's Choice labeled 2%. The thermodynamic model confirms less than 1 is active. Label diverges from chemistry. ZO Skin Health Complexion Renewal Pads does not publish its pH. That omission is diagnostic at this price point. The formula operates on a structurally different penetration principle, one the label gives no indication of. Alcohol occupies second position in ZO's INCI, almost certainly above 15%. When ethanol evaporates from the skin, it concentrates salicylic acid into thermodynamic supersaturation. The penetration driver is evaporation physics, not pH optimization. Two products deploying two structurally different penetration mechanisms. Paula's Choice Skin Perfecting 2% BHA Liquid Exfoliant. pH-controlled sustained glycol reservoir. ZO Skin Health, kinetic supersaturation via evaporation flash. These are architecturally incomparable delivery systems. One whispers, the other detonates. Paula's Choice creates a continuous low-concentration acid flux. ZO generates a violent concentration spike. The question is what biological cost each mechanism inflicts on the barrier it forces open. Methylpropanediol and butylene glycol resist evaporation. In Paula's Choice Skin Perfecting 2% BHA Liquid Exfoliant, they keep BHA solubilized at the skin surface, building a sustained acid depot that releases slowly without an irritation spike. ZO Skin Health adds glycolic acid as an AHA, urea with keratolytic properties, and Spirea ulmaria as a botanical salicylate source. Triple mechanism exfoliation. Paula's Choice deploys one targeted acid. ZO deploys 3 simultaneously. If free acid value, Henderson-Hasselbalch, or vehicle kinetics are concepts you have never encountered when buying a chemical exfoliant, this channel exists for exactly that reason. Subscribe to Cosmetoscope. The label is never the complete story. 7 botanical extracts in ZO Skin Health Complexion Renewal Pads. 7 fire extinguishers for a fire the formula started. Green tea, philodendron, barley, plantain, mugwort, rock samphire, meadowsweet. Not luxury. Engineered damage control. Each anti-inflammatory extract is a preemptive response to aggression the vehicle generates. That is compensatory engineering. The botanical complexity is structural necessity, formulated to suppress predictable self-inflicted inflammation, not to justify the price point. Paula's Choice Skin Perfecting 2% BHA Liquid Exfoliant carries no botanical rescue system. Its glycol vehicle does not harm the tissue it treats. Restraint in formulation signals engineering that produces no problem requiring downstream compensation. Paula's Choice masters pH, free acid value, and delivery kinetics. The chemistry is exemplary, but what follows will determine whether $130 is justified. Chemistry alone cannot access this dimension. That dimension is structural. The stratum corneum is a mechanically cohesive architecture. Corneocytes are locked by rivet-like protein complexes, corneodesmosomes. In hyperkeratotic skin, these accumulate abnormally, and passive chemistry alone may not suffice. Salicylic acid has been misclassified as keratolytic for decades, implying it breaks keratin chains inside cells. Current scientific consensus redefines it as desmolytic. It disrupts desmosomal attachments across the full thickness of the stratum corneum. Paula's Choice Skin Perfecting 2% BHA Liquid Exfoliant delivers desmolytic action across the full corneodesmosome's architecture, dissolving intercellular cement from surface to base. Bonds loosen, cells become chemically ready to detach. Then they wait. Chemical exfoliation is passive. BHA dissolves the molecular cement, but without mechanical force, detachment follows a slow biological timeline. In resistant hyperkeratotic skin, where corneodesmosomes persist abnormally, that timeline becomes the formula's measurable clinical ceiling. Glycolic acid, the AHA in ZO Skin Health Complexion Renewal Pads, targets a distinct anatomical layer. The leading model proposes AHA's chelate calcium ions, stabilizing cadherin proteins at the stratum compactum base, dismantling the foundation. Remove the calcium. Cadherin attachments collapse. Base layer detaches in sheets. BHA dissolving above. AHA dismantling below. 2 converging chemical vectors, and the pad enters. This is where the thesis of this duel changes. The viscose pad generates mechanical shear force. Once BHA has lysed desmosomal bonds and AHA has collapsed the compactum foundation surface, corneocytes are pre-detached. The pad removes them immediately without waiting for passive biological shedding. That removal reduces diffusion resistance of the stratum disjunctum dramatically. With the outermost layer thinned, AHA molecules reach the stratum compactum without obstruction. Chemistry and mechanics amplify each other in a documented cascade. This biomechanical advantage cannot be replicated by pH optimization. No free acid value calculation generates shear force. Paula's Choice Skin Perfecting 2% BHA Liquid Exfoliant, despite its exemplary chemistry, has no answer to this pad. The pad's advantage is strictly conditional, clinically meaningful only when stratum disjunctum thickness is the biological bottleneck, seborrheic hyperkeratotic resistant skin. On sensitive or barrier-compromised profiles, mechanical force becomes disproportionate to clinical need. SD alcohol in second position in ZO Skin Health Complexion Renewal pads implies concentrations above 15%, a level documented to progressively delipidize stratum corneum intercellular cement and elevate transepidermal water loss on sensitive skin. The engineer's verdict: 2 criteria: bioavailable acid delivery efficiency and biological cost, the structural damage exchanged for that delivery. Price, packaging, and positioning are excluded. Only molecular performance and structural consequence determine the outcome. Paula's Choice Skin Perfecting 2% BHA Liquid Exfoliant. Exceptional engineering to tolerance ratio. pH-controlled free acid value. Non-volatile glycol reservoir. Zero inflammatory vehicle. Compatible daily across virtually all skin profiles. The benchmark for universal chemical exfoliation. ZO Skin Health Complexion Renewal Pads. Genuine biomechanical superiority via the triple mechanism pad. Clear advantage for hyperkeratotic seborrheic skin. Real biological cost from SD alcohol on sensitive profiles. Precision instrument requiring a precise indication. Paula's Choice wins universal daily engineering. ZO wins clinical intensity for the right skin profile. The $130 premium buys a pad mechanism, not a superior acid. The molecule is identical. The delivery architecture is not. The most expensive ingredient in any skincare product is the knowledge to read what it actually contains. Paula's Choice charges $35 for it. ZO charges $165. The audit never lies.